Hello and welcome to Flower Breeders. In this episode we'll cover the Burpee Company, started by William Atlee Burpee, born in 1858 and died in 1915. His family was based in Philadelphia and was of a distinguished family. In his teenage years, he dealt in fine poultry, breeding exotic fowl, and communicating with many different individuals across the country of the United States. Indeed, in the 1870s, breeding fancy chickens and selling them was very fashionable. His father disagreed with his vocation, but his mother had a soft spot and lent him enough money to start his business. Due to the great-looking chickens he bred, the purchasers often wrote to Mr. Atlee saying what was his secret. As a result, he began supplying grain as well as chickens, and in a fairly short time, he realized he was making more money from feed than from selling chickens. As a result, he went full into the feed industry, and later on seeds. Later on, it began expanding into California, purchasing several parcels of desirable land in the Central Coast. During his vegetable breeding program, he bred several new varieties of vegetables. A year after he went into the vegetable business, he bred a new variety of cabbage called Surehead, which was amongst the most highest performing variety at that time period. In 1881, he improved a variety of carrot to breed a new variety of carrot called Long Orange, and over time he bred new versions of various crops that had great improvements in yield and other traits, such as lima bean, celery, and sweet pepper. In 1894, he bred the iceberg lettuce, which was a lettuce that stayed crisp a lot longer than other varieties, making year-round salads a thing. Most of his customers were typically farmers, not gardeners, at that time, so his catalog was named Burpee's Farm Annual. Still in his 20s, Atlee was running the world's fastest growing mail-order seed company. This is because during that era of the 1800s, most of the seeds were imported from Europe, and these varieties did not do as well in American soil as they did in European soil. This allowed for William Atlee Burpee to take on a new niche to improve varieties and make varieties suited to the American landscape. During this time period, he also married and had a son. Over time, the farmer market was expanded to home gardeners, and as a result, by the 1890s, Burpee became a household name. His son David Burpee eventually took over the show, which begins our foray into flower breeding. David Burpee learned that ornamental plants were becoming increasingly lucrative and moved into that field. At first, he bred sweet peas, learning how to market these varieties. In time, after the sweet pea phase died out in the 1920s, he replaced it with marigold. And through his silver tongue and his great gift for marketing, the marigold became the next popular flower. One of the ways he got new varieties was through a competition, offering $10,000 for a perfectly white marigold. One such variety did not arrive until 1975. In the interim, several ivory and cream-colored cultivars were popping in, and these were used often as new varieties to sell, alongside the varieties he bred. He also developed the first F1 hybrid nasturtium, such as double hybrid nasturtium, and the first thoroughly double Gloriosa daisy, and he obtained the first ever white marigold snowbird as well. These were bred/obtained in 1934, 1953, and 1975 respectively. During World War II, during the Victory Garden movement, the Burpee breeders focused on breeding varieties suited for home gardeners, such as the Burpee hybrid cucumber, the Forkhook hybrid tomato, alongside several other cultivars. One of his apex cultivars was a Big Boy tomato, made in 1949. Most of today's varieties of home garden variety tomatoes are descendants of this tomato cultivar. In the 1950s, different varieties of petunia, marigolds, and snapdragons, and daisies and zinnias were bred. David's biggest goal, however, was to have the marigold named the national flower of the United States. To that end, he enlisted the help of Senator Everett Dirksen of Illinois. And eventually, through his silver tongue, David persuaded that senator to join forces with him to obtain that dream, if you will. It did not work, however, and the senator died in 1969. And in 1986, President Reagan signed into legislation a new rule that says that the rose is the national flower of the United States. In the end, David Burpee died in 1980 and the firm was sold. It went through several corporations and was eventually bought by George Ball the grandson and founder of the ball company. But post-mortem, David Burpee won a consolation prize. Senator Mark Kirk in 2014 of Illinois introduced a bill into Congress naming the marigold the emblem of the House and Senate of Illinois. And although I do not see any evidence that this worked, he did manage to make September 6th Marigold Day as of 2014. And that about covers everything. Thank you for watching.